"Oh, my love." Mritika stood nervously in front of the hotel room door. She didn't know why, but after everything she had heard, opening that door suddenly felt strangely difficult. She finally turned the handle and opened it. Standing outside was a young room service boy with an innocent, cheerful face. Seeing him somehow made Mritika feel a little relieved. He had brought their dinner. The moment he stepped inside, a blast of icy wind rushed into the room. The bone-chilling cold seemed to swallow the warmth of the room heater in an instant. Mritika moved aside and let the boy enter. He placed the food tray on the center table and carefully arranged all the dishes. Then he placed the water jug and coffee pot on the cabinet beside the sofa. With a pleasant smile, he asked if they needed anything else. Mritika shook her head. The boy smiled and said in his broken Bengali, "Salam. The food will get cold. Wake him up and eat quickly. If you need anything later, just ring the bell or call reception. I will come and collect all the plates." Mritika was immediately curious. This was Patnattop, a small and relatively unfamiliar hill settlement several hours away from Jammu. So how had this Kashmiri boy learned Bengali? She asked him. The boy explained that he had spent 3 or 4 years in Kolkata with his uncle, selling Kashmiri shawls. That was where he had learned Bengali. Now his parents had grown old, and his younger sister was at home. So he had returned to his village. Their house was within walking distance of the hotel. The leftover food from the hotel, his salary, and the tips he received from tourists were enough to support his family. His father sometimes worked as a watchman in the apple orchards, and his name was Adil. Adil picked up the coffee mugs and was about to leave when he suddenly turned around. "One more thing. Please lock the door properly from inside. Wild animals come out at night." Mritika gave him a small smile and nodded. "Okay." Adil left. Mritika immediately locked the door. But before moving away, she looked back at it once more. A faint feeling of fear passed through her mind. Had coming to such a remote place for such a long stay really been a good idea? Then she reminded herself, what other choice did they have? Their resort had a 3-story hotel building on one side. Behind the section where they were staying was a steep ravine covered with dense forest. There were trees everywhere, although Mritika didn't know the names of most of them. On the opposite side of the hotel were several beautiful honeymoon cottages. They were far too expensive for a long stay, so they had chosen an ordinary hotel room. They were planning to stay there for many weeks. Mritika looked toward the bed. Her better half was still sleeping. He was exhausted. The doctors had told him that he needed a great deal of rest. After everything his body and mind had been through, recovery would take time. The doctors had also advised them to stay somewhere peaceful and healthy, somewhere far away from familiar faces, somewhere where only the two of them could be together. They had brought an enormous amount of luggage. Clothes, medicines, documents, a laptop, work materials, painting supplies, files, and almost everything they might need for more than a month. Most importantly, they had brought all of his medicines. Mritika gently called him, "Nandan," but he didn't respond. She called again, even more softly, "Nandan, wake up. Let's have something to eat." Slowly, his eyes opened. The journey from Kolkata had been exhausting. First, they had flown from Kolkata to Delhi. From Delhi, they had flown to Jammu. And from Jammu, they had traveled by car through the mountains to Patnattop. They had arrived only the previous day. Nandan was still extremely weak. Mritika moved close to him and whispered, "Have some soup, sweetheart. Sit up a little. Lean against the pillow. Come on. That's it." She carefully helped him sit up. Then, little by little, she fed him warm chicken soup. After that, she asked, "Do you need to go to the bathroom?" Nandan slowly nodded. Mritika helped him. She gave him his medicines and carefully helped him lie down again. After covering him properly with the blanket, she switched off the main light. She left only the bedside lamp on. Then she quietly ate some of her own dinner. Most of the food remained untouched. After washing her hands and face, she rang the bell. Within a few minutes, Adil appeared. Mritika pointed toward the remaining food. "There is quite a lot left. I didn't even touch most of it." Adil smiled. He put the packets of rotis and curry into the pocket of his robe. Then he pointed toward the remaining food. "There are 2 dogs outside the gate. They will enjoy this. They will get a very good meal tonight." Mritika smiled. Since arriving at the hotel, she had barely heard a single Bengali word except from Adil. She loved Bengali. And suddenly she wondered, when would Nandan start speaking normally again? When would their old life return? When would they finally be able to laugh, talk, and live normally again? She felt terribly alone. Nandan had already fallen asleep again. The medicines made his sleep unusually deep these days. Mritika looked at him. Would he ever be able to stay awake through the night again, painting his extraordinary creations? During his treatment, several of his paintings had sold for very high prices. The money from those paintings was helping them survive. Mritika handled all the finances. Nandan was strangely indifferent to everything outside his art. But that night, Mritika's mind was restless. She kept thinking about the wild animals. Everyone at the hotel had warned her about them. The receptionist, the waiters, even Adil. But how could a wild animal possibly reach their room? She began studying the layout of the hotel in her mind. Their room was on the first floor at the back of the building. A long corridor ran in front of their room. There were rooms on both sides. At one end was a staircase. At the other end were 3 steps leading down to the reception area. Beyond reception was the main gate of the resort. There was a paved road leading to it. A parking area stood on one side. The kitchen, restaurant, dining hall, and a small shopping arcade stood on the other. Mritika had noticed all of this on their first day. Could a wild animal really come through that route? She shook her head. Maybe everyone was simply exaggerating to frighten the guests. But then another thought came to her. Why would they all say the same thing? She decided that she would explore the surroundings properly the next morning. The room was already warm enough. Keeping the heater on for too long might make Nandan uncomfortable, so she switched it off. She wrapped herself tightly in the blanket and lay down. Outside, late November had covered Patnattop in deep silence and freezing cold. Inside the hotel, families slept peacefully behind closed doors. And just before falling asleep, one small thought crossed Mritika's mind. Maybe one day, they too would have a family that belonged only to them. It was almost dawn when Mritika suddenly woke up. Nandan was calling her softly. She sat up immediately. "What is that sound?" he whispered. At first, Mritika thought he was talking in his sleep. Since his surgery, this had happened several times. But then she heard it too. A rough scratching sound. It was coming from the balcony door beside the bathroom. It sounded as if something was scratching directly outside. Suddenly, Mritika understood. The balcony was at the very back of the hotel. Beyond it was the forest along the ravine. This had to be the route the wild animals used. The balcony door was securely locked. Mritika looked at Nandan. There is nothing there. But she wasn't convinced herself. What kind of animal could it be? Nandan quickly fell asleep again. But Mritika couldn't. She turned toward him. And as she looked at his sleeping face, her thoughts traveled years into the past. Their relationship had not been easy. They had endured criticism, insults, mockery, ridicule, humiliation, even threats. Only a few people had stood beside them. Most had walked away. Even their own families and relatives had refused to accept them. But every human being is different. Everyone has the right to live according to their own identity. Unfortunately, society does not always accept those who live outside conventional expectations. Mritika had once been a successful and famous model, but she had never been attracted to men. She had openly accepted herself as a lesbian. Society, however, refused to accept her truth. Not her family, not the people around her, not even parts of her professional world. Eventually, she left modeling behind and started her own clothing line as a fashion designer. Through an LGBTQ+ support group in Kolkata, she met Nandan. Nandan was already a respected painter. His work was gaining recognition both in India and abroad. But when people began talking about his personal life, everything changed. People noticed that he had no interest in women. They questioned his identity. His family and friends slowly moved away. Even when he tried to lose himself in his art, people surrounded him with unwanted questions and curiosity. He was mentally breaking down. And that was when Mritika came into his life. Mritika understood him, because she too knew what it meant to be rejected for being different. Slowly, the two became inseparable. Nandan had always felt like a woman inside, but his body had been male. Mritika had always felt masculine inside, yet she had been born female. Both of them had struggled for years to reconcile their identities with their bodies. There were surgeries, medical treatments, emotional breakdowns, financial difficulties, family conflicts, social pressure, and endless battles. But they never gave up. Mritika stood beside Nandan through every difficult moment. And Nandan had once stood beside Mritika in exactly the same way. Eventually, both of them decided to undergo gender-affirming medical procedures. Mritika began her transition from female to male, and Nandan began her transition from male to female. After years of struggle, Nandan finally became Nandini. Nandini, Mritikangshu's Nandini. Morning light slowly entered the room through the heavy curtains. Mritikangshu looked at the person sleeping beside him. Not Nandan anymore. Nandini. Her fair face looked beautiful in the soft morning light. Her lips were slightly pink. Her skin was smooth. Her long black hair was spread across the pillow. She looked peaceful. She looked beautiful. Mritikangshu smiled. They couldn't stay in bed any longer. Nandini needed her medicines. It was time for tea and breakfast. Mritikangshu called reception and ordered breakfast. Then he remembered the scratching sound from the previous night. He wrapped a shawl around himself and opened the balcony door. He stopped. The view was breathtaking. The morning sun was peeking through the dense forest. Golden light fell across the grass behind the hotel. Thousands of tiny drops of dew sparkled like diamonds. Mritikangshu immediately knew what he wanted to do. He would bring Nandini out here with her canvas, brushes, paints, and easel. If she could return to her art, perhaps she would slowly find her balance again. Perhaps painting would help her heal. After finishing his own morning routine, Mritikangshu gently woke her. Nandini. She slowly opened her eyes. The new name still felt unfamiliar to both of them, but there was a soft smile on her lips. When Mritikangshu tried to help her stand, she gently said, "Let me try on my own." Just then breakfast arrived. A different hotel worker had brought it. The staff worked in shifts. Adil would probably come later. Nandini came out of the bathroom wearing a sky blue housecoat. She looked graceful and peaceful. but she was still weak. Mrtikangshu carefully helped her sit on the sofa. She still had several medicines to take. Some before breakfast, some afterward. Her body needed time to recover, and Mrtikangshu was determined to take care of her. During his own transformation, Nandan had supported him through everything. Now it was Mrtikangshu's turn. He wanted Nandini to feel comfortable in her new identity. He wanted her to feel at home in her own body. That morning they sat together on the balcony. Nandini was mesmerized by the beauty around her. Her artistic eyes absorbed every detail. She was an artist, and nature had given her endless inspiration. From that day onward, sitting on the balcony after breakfast became part of their daily routine. One morning, Nandini was sketching when a pair of wildcats suddenly appeared in the distance. Within seconds, they disappeared deep into the forest. Mrtikangshu had seen them too. They looked at each other. Both had the same thought. Perhaps these were the animals scratching at their balcony door at night. Both of them smiled. But behind those smiles were countless memories. Years of struggle, pain, fear, and the difficult journey that had brought them here. Slowly, they were adjusting to their new life. Their new names had been suggested by their doctors, close friends, and members of the LGBTQ+ community in Kolkata. They liked the names. After returning to Kolkata, they were planning a small reception. They had already discussed it when they completed their legal registration. For now, they had decided not to spend their energy, time, or money on anything unnecessary. They simply wanted to heal, to live, to become themselves. There had been moments when they wondered whether they had made the right decision. But every time doubt appeared, they found the strength to move forward. One morning, Mrtikangshu was checking the accounts of his clothing business on his laptop. Beside him, Nandini was painting. Her familiar brushstrokes slowly brought a pair of wild cats to life on the canvas. Mrtikangshu looked at the painting. He smiled. It was beautiful. Their old rhythm slowly returned. They began taking short walks through the hills of Patnattop. One day, Adil took them to see the apple orchards. On their way back, they suddenly came across a family of wild animals. A mother was sitting almost in the middle of the road, cleaning her newborn babies. Nearby, a strong male walked around proudly. Mrtikangshu and Nandini couldn't stop themselves from laughing. Adil smiled and said, "There are many wild animals around here, and there are others too. At night, they sometimes come into the hotel from the forest behind." By then, Mrtikangshu and Nandini had taken several photographs with their phones. Nandini had found new subjects for her paintings. The days passed peacefully. They stayed a little longer than they had originally planned. The place had become special to them. They would sit together on the balcony, silently watching the forest. Perhaps both of them were thinking about everything they had left behind. Their long journey of transformation, the fear, the uncertainty, the medical procedures, the money, the sacrifices, and everything they had lost along the way. Yet somehow they had found each other. And perhaps that was enough. Only 2 days remained before their stay in Patnattop would finally end. Almost 2 months had passed. They had already extended their stay by another 2 weeks because they had fallen in love with the peaceful surroundings. They were slowly packing their belongings. Adil was helping them whenever he could. The boy had become very dear to them. They had already decided to give him a generous tip before leaving. That evening, Adil came to collect the dinner dishes. Before leaving, he told them that it was a full moon night. Later, Mrtikangshu and Nandini switched off all the lights. They sat beside the glass window. Outside, the full moon illuminated the forest. The same forest that looked bright green during the day now appeared dark blue and mysterious. The moonlight washed over the trees. For a long time they sat silently. Neither spoke. They simply watched. They didn't know how much time had passed. Then, scratch, scratch, scratch. The rough sound came again from the balcony door. Both of them stood up at the same time. They walked toward the glass and looked outside. The forest was glowing beneath the moon. Somewhere beyond the balcony were the wild creatures of the night. Perhaps the same pair that had visited their door so many times. They stood close together. They could hear each other's breathing. They could feel each other's warmth. And in the quiet darkness of that night, after everything they had endured, they finally allowed themselves to forget the world outside. There was no judgment, no society, no questions, no fear. Only the two of them, Mrtikangshu and Nandini. Two people who had spent years searching for themselves. Two people who had fought through pain to become who they truly were. And now, finally, they were together, complete in their own way, safe in each other's arms. "Oh, my love," Mrtikangshu whispered. Nandini gently placed a finger on his lips. She didn't want him to say anything more. She simply rested her head against his chest. There was complete trust in her eyes. Peace, security, and love. Outside, the scratching sound began again at the balcony door. Inside, the clock on the wall continued ticking. Tick, tock, tick, tock. Life was moving forward. And beneath the silver moonlight, somewhere inside the mysterious forest, the wild creatures continued their own journey, while Mrtikangshu and Nandini began a new chapter of theirs. Together, forever. Oh, my love.